The heat of 2003 was so terrible it was dubbed scorching fire, for continuous months. There was not a cloud in the sky over Dong Village, only the opaque white of absolute desiccation. The rice paddies were cracked open like gaping wounds. The few remaining ponds had dried into viscous mud, releasing a putrid smell of dead fish. The home of Elder Keen, head of the Vu lineage, was no exception. The rainwater tank was bone dry. Mrs. Hoey, his wife, looked mournfully at her husband. "Dear, we only have enough water in the jar for this morning's meal. Bats keeps complaining of fatigue. He won't endure this weather without water. Shall we try begging from the next commune again?" Elder Keen, a man nearing 50 with a weathered face, extinguished his opium pipe, his gaze fixed on the sterile courtyard. The burden of a clan head during this famine and natural disaster weighed heavily upon him. Begging endlessly? They are exhausted too. Shall we let the whole family die of thirst? He rasped, his voice tight. "I don't believe those absurd stories. Clean or not, having water is what matters." The well he spoke of was hidden in a corner of the garden, bordering the old village cemetery. It was an ancient structure built of laterite stone, its circular mouth covered by a rotten wooden plank and overgrown with vines and weeds. The villagers shunned it, claiming its water was cold and carried a vengeful spirit. "Go inside and call Batch to help me. We must unearth it." Batch, their son, a 20-year-old student who had returned home to recover from a chronic illness, trailed after his father. His skin was pale, his thin frame appearing frail. Father and son began clearing the well. The wooden plank was removed, revealing a dark, deep void. A sudden, icy draft rose from the mouth of the well. The cold was bizarre, a stark contrast to the near 40-degree heat outside. It was not the refreshing coolness of spring water, but a damp, stale cold, stinking of earth and ancient decay. Like the air from a long-sealed crypt, Elder Keen handed Batch the bucket. "Try drawing the first." "Bucket, son." Batch tied the rope to the bucket handle and lowered it. The rope slid slowly through his palms. As the bucket hit the dark water, Batch felt a strange jolt. The rope in his hand trembled. He continued feeding the rope, trying to draw water from the deeper layer. Suddenly, he clearly felt it. Something soft and slick had just brushed past the bucket's handle. The sensation was fleeting, but made Batch jump, nearly dropping the rope. He pulled up the heavy bucket. As the rim neared the surface, Batch was startled. The water was crystal clear. In a well abandoned for decades, the water should have been murky, full of decomposed leaves. This water was icy cold, chillingly sharp. They filled the large buckets and carried them home. The water was transparent, yet when Mrs. Hoey boiled and tasted it, the water tasted springy, a bit fishy. "Dear, it's hard to drink." Elder Keen dismissed her concerns. "It is because the well has been used for so long. It will pass in a few days. We should be thankful we have water." But the relief was short-lived. Water had returned, yet the atmosphere in Elder Keen's house grew heavier. Batch was the first to feel it deeply. He began losing sleep. The first few nights, he blamed the suffocating heat, but the following nights, he realized something was actively preventing him from closing his eyes. A sound. It was the sound of running water, a small, rhythmic gurgle, like someone had opened the tap very softly. He sprang up, checked the taps in the courtyard and kitchen. They were all tightly shut, bone dry. The gurgling stopped, but the moment he lay down, the sound returned, this time seemingly echoing from beneath the floorboards, or perhaps the garden outside. On the third night, Mrs. Hoey woke up. Batch's shadow stood in the courtyard, near the water tank, motionless and vacant under the faint moonlight. "Batch, my son, where are you going?" Mrs. Hoey called softly. Batch slowly turned around, his face listless. "I heard the water. It sounds like someone forgot to turn off the tap." She listened closely, hearing only the mournful chirping of crickets. She led her son inside. His hand was ice cold. Then Batch started sleepwalking. Around 2 in the morning, Mrs. Hoey woke up again from a chill. She saw the bedroom door ajar. Batch was gone. She looked out into the back garden. Batch was standing there, a few steps from the well mouth. He stood with his back to the house, staring intently into the pitch-black opening. His posture was static, like a statue. Mrs. Hoey crept forward and grasped his shoulder. "Batch, what are you doing here?" Batch flinched. "Mother, why am I here?" He had no recollection of leaving his bed. He only told her that he had heard the water sound again, and this time it sounded like someone was calling his name. After the sleepwalking incident, Batch was hardly himself. He became withdrawn and frightened. The gurgling now sounded, even during the day, like a whispered plea, a compulsion urging him toward the well. Batch was alone at home. The water sound returned. This time not a gurgle, but like a large bucket of water had just been dumped. He didn't want to go, desperately clinging to the bed frame, but his legs disobeyed, automatically walking towards the well. Batch stopped right in front of the well mouth. The sun was scorching, yet the area around the laterite rim radiated an unnerving cold. He looked down at the still, black water, like a mirror of black ink. He saw his reflection, a pale face, messy hair, and his own terrified eyes. He gasped. He tried tilting his head to the left. The reflection in the water did not move. The blood in Batch's veins seemed to freeze. He stood paralyzed. The face identical to his own in the water was still staring straight up, unmoving. Then the most horrifying thing happened. The reflection suddenly curled its lip, a slight, distorted smile full of mockery. After that, the reflection began to sink. It slowly receded into the darkness of the well's depths, but its eyes remained fixed on Batch, as if waving him down. Come down with me. Batch tried to scream, but his throat was constricted. He turned, tripped, and ran home, bolting the door. From that day on, Batch completely broke down. He feared water. He refused to drink a single drop of the well water, even boiled. He wouldn't bathe. He started complaining of extreme cold. Despite the scorching summer heat, Mrs. Hoey watched her, sun with her daily. She decided to visit Elder Luong, the oldest man in the village, believed to know all the old stories. Elder Luong was not surprised. He simply pointed towards her house. The well in your garden has been opened again, hasn't it? He spoke of Lady Lua, the woman falsely accused of adultery and driven to suicide. Before she died, she cursed the Vu lineage as she threw herself into the well. The Vu lineage, since you have used this well's water, you must pay your debt to this well. My injustice, the well knows, this earth knows, whenever the heavens and earth run dry, and no drop of water remains, that is when my thirst will awaken, and that thirst must be quenched with the flesh and blood of your people. Elder Luong added, whenever a historic drought came, the well would claim a life from the Vu lineage. King knows. He is the clan head. He must know this tradition. He knows. Yet he still opened the well. He is hiding something bigger from you. Mrs. Hoey returned, her heart heavy. Elder Keen, seeing his son's condition worsen, finally broke down and confessed to his wife. Lady Lua was not falsely accused of adultery. My fifth-generation ancestor personally coerced her. The ancestor staged a cruel act, accusing her of unchastity to marry a younger woman. Lady Lua, filled with extreme resentment, threw herself into the well. Instead of saving her, the ancestor ordered the well to be filled, burying Lady Lua alive with her curse. He spoke in anguish. This is the time of drought. The custom of the lineage is to open the well and offer a sacrifice. I hoped the small offering of a young rooster would appease her. I didn't expect her to refuse it. She has marked Batch already. She wants my son's life. Their son was not haunted. He was a designated sacrificial lamb, waiting for the day of the great drought. The damp, foul smell began to permeate the house, especially Batch's room. It wasn't the smell of damp clothes, but the odor of ancient moss, of decay. One stifling night, Mrs. Hoey woke up with a start. She hadn't heard anything, but she felt as if someone was watching her. She opened her eyes and crept towards the door. The old tile floor was dusty and dry, but starting from the threshold leading to the courtyard, the direction of the well, there were small bare footprints. They were soaking wet, leaving dark trails on the dry floor. They reeked of muddy stench and the damp moss of the well. Mrs. Hoey followed them. The footprints went from the back door, through the kitchen, across the main room, and stopped right in front of Batch's bedroom door. It was as if that being had reached here, stood staring at her and Batch for a long time, and then vanished into the air. She woke Elder Keen. He saw the trails of wet footprints, his ashen face turning completely pale. She entered the house she really entered. Batch woke up, looking at the wet footprints, without a hint of fear. His voice was weak, but clear. Don't wipe it off, Mother. She has come to take me. The couple decided to flee. Elder Keen rolled out the old motorbike, and Mrs. Hoey tried to dress Batch, but as Elder Keen helped Batch onto the back seat, Batch suddenly seized violently, retching and vomiting profusely. He vomited pure water. It was transparent and chilling, but it reeked of the green moss and musty odor characteristic of the ancient well. They understood. Batch could not leave the house, could not leave the well. The well's water was now inside him. The vengeful spirit had marked its sacrifice. Afterward, Batch fell into a coma. His body was cold as stone. On the night of the full moon of the 7th month Vulan Ghost Festival, the sound of frogs suddenly erupted from the well. Not a sound calling for rain, but a joyful clamor, a welcoming roar. Elder Keen looked out at the well. The black water, normally still, was now bubbling and churning, as if a giant cauldron was boiling beneath the surface. He was gripped by despair, yet a sudden thought struck him. Elder Luong had said the curse was not about sacrifice. What if they had to return something the ancestor took? Could there be a buried object of suppression? He rushed to the garden, picking up a hoe and shovel. Elder Keen struck the first blow into the earth next to the well. Inside the house, Batch, who had been lying still, suddenly convulsed, letting out heart-wrenching screams. Elder Keen struck a second blow. Batch screamed louder, thrashing as if the hoe had landed directly on his chest. Mrs. Hoey screamed in horror. Elder Keen, stop. You are hoeing into our son. Elder Keen dropped the hoe. He understood. The wicked bond. This earth, this well, and Batch, they had become one. He could not dig. Elder Luong appeared, leaning on his staff. He looked at the freshly dug earth. You are digging in the wrong place, and you have misunderstood the ancestors' intention. Keen. Elder Luong revealed the final secret. Known only to the oldest clan heads, Lady Lua gave birth to a son for Ancestor Vu. But the second wife, who was Lady Lua's sister, grew jealous. She meticulously planned and personally murdered her own nephew, then she and Ancestor Vu, in their delusion, framed Lady Lua for the murder of the ancestral heir. The truth was far crueler. Lady Lua was not just falsely accused, she was framed for the murder of her own son. Her injustice is not the loss of honor, but the loss of her child. Her thirst is not for water, it is the thirst of a mother. Elder Luong struck the ground with his staff. She doesn't want to kill anyone. She is searching for her child. She mistakes Batch for her son, or as a substitute. She is not killing him. She is taking him down to the well to raise. This truth was more terrifying than death itself. Batch was being taken to the cold well to be raised by a resentful spirit. Suddenly, the frog sound ceased, and the space fell into an absolute stillness. Then, another sound took over, louder gurgling. Elder Keen, Mrs. Hoey, and Elder Luong simultaneously looked at the well. The black water, which had only been lightly bubbling, was now boiling violently. The water surged, not slowly, but erupting over the laterite rim. The dark, thick water, reeking of moss and mud, flowed like a living serpent. It bypassed the courtyard, climbed the steps, and poured into the main house. The water did not stop. It moved purposefully, splitting into two streams, one minor stream towards the parents' room, and a major stream towards Batch's room, as if it knew its target. At this moment, Batch's moaning stopped. He lay still, eyes closed, but his mouth began to move, humming a strange, archaic melody. Sleep now, my son, sleep now, the cold down here, lulling. The eerie lullaby merged with the sound of water gurgling into the room. The dark water touched the feet of Batch's bed, encircling it. The frigid air rising from the water made the room cold as a stone dungeon. Elder Keen stood frozen in the doorway. All human defenses were futile against this force. A desperate idea flashed in Mrs. Hoey's mind. Lady Lua lost her child. Lady Lua needed a child. If she mistook Batch for her son, Mrs. Hoey could return a child to her. Not Batch's life, but a symbol. Mrs. Hoey rushed to the old wooden chest. She frantically dug through old clothes, finding a yellowish cloth bundle. Inside was a tiny christening gown, the first shirt Batch had worn. She grabbed the shirt, the symbol of her child, and ran out to the courtyard, straight towards the violently boiling well. She screamed, her voice tearing through the night. Lady Lua, you lost your son. I am a mother too. I understand. I return your child to you. Here is my child. Take it, please spare my Batch. He is alive. He is my son. She hurled the tiny, precious gown into the boiling well. The yellowed cloth hit the black surface and sank instantly like a stone. The moment the gown vanished, everything stopped. The well ceased boiling. The water stopped churning. The surface became still. Then, from the deep well, not the lullaby, not the boiling sound, but a single, weak, yet distinct sound echoed, crying, the wail of a newborn baby. The cry reverberated from the water's bottom, mournful and heartrending. Elder Luong staggered. his staff falling to the ground. Oh heavens! It is true. Keen, your ancestor's crime. It is greater than we imagined. That baby was the biological son of Ancestor Vu and Lady Lua. The wailing from the well was the cry of the innocent, murdered infant, awakened by the symbolic offering of Batch's gown. It demanded to be brought up. Elder Keen snapped out of his trance. His ancestor had committed this crime. He must be the one to end it. He quickly retrieved a long bamboo pole and thrust it into the well. The crying grew louder. He felt the pole touch something soft and bundle. Elder Luong shouted, "That's it. Bring it up." Elder Keen carefully maneuvered the object to the laterite rim and reached in, grabbing the bundle. It was a rotten, tattered cloth bundle. The moment the small, decaying bundle was brought out and placed on the dry earth, the crying from the well ceased. Simultaneously, inside the house, Batch violently convulsed and vomited a torrent of dark, thick, foul-smelling water from his mouth. He retched violently, as if expelling the entire well from his body. After vomiting, he collapsed. Mrs. Hoey touched his forehead. It was no longer stone cold, but warming up. The dark water surrounding the house began to recede. It flowed back to the well and was sucked back into the earth. Elder Keen carefully opened the cloth bundle. Inside was the skeleton of a newborn baby, blackened from prolonged immersion. Elder Keen and Mrs. Hoey wrapped the remains in the newest red silk and respectfully buried the child beneath the areca tree. Then, Elder Keen returned to the well, retrieving his hoe and shovel. He began dumping earth, rubble, and broken bricks back in. He was burying his ancestors' sin. He was sealing the well forever. Elder Keen used a large, blue laterite slab, rolling it over the filled well mouth, sealing it completely. In that very instant, a drop of water fell, hitting his earth-caked hand. Then another drop. Then another. The vast, white sky suddenly broke open, and the first raindrops fell after for continuous months. Rain poured onto the tiled roof, the courtyard, and the parched garden. It grew heavier by the minute. Elder Keen stood in the rain, letting the water wash over him, cleansing the sweat, the earth, and the resentful spirit that had plagued his family. Dong Village had water again. The drought was over. The centuries-old curse of the Vu lineage had been broken, but the price was the uncovering of a horrifying truth. The villagers only saw that the well, rumored to be haunted, had been filled. No one knew that the terrifying truth was now buried forever beneath the blue slab under the life-giving rain of that autumn.